From the kitchen of the cabin, it's the 5 Games for Doomsday review. Spicy. William of Ockham, eh? What a bloke. You should see the doodle of him, done in the 14th century. One of those doodles the monks used to do in the illuminated manuscripts, because a life of solitude leads you towards the aimless. It's a little sketch of him, in faded brown ink that looks like dried blood. Wrapped in voluminous Hessian robes, the kind that scratch, and if you're of a monkly persuasion, scratch in just the right ways. His lips pursed in coquettish reflection, and above the lines that denote his eyes, a tonsure. There's no greater way to show your faith in God than by faking a bald spot. As if the bloody breviary wasn't enough, getting up at 2 in the morning for those dreary bloody chants, and on top of that you got Brother Aubrey the Blind hacking at the top of your head with a sharpened piece of bridle every 2 weeks. It's no bloody wonder that the beer they brewed was so strong. It took your mind off Vespers, and if it was strong enough, it might just blow that patch of hair off, because the stumbling sight of Brother Aubrey, shiny, sharp metal in his shaking paws, is enough to drive anyone to the altar for a quick supplication. Still, his razor though. Ockham, I'm talking about now, and not Aubrey the Blind. That makes some real sense. Obviously, sense is a movable feast. Old Bill Ockham came up with it to prove miracles. But when you remove all that mystical shit that they use to justify what they do to children, the idea that the simplest solution is probably the right one holds a lot of water. I would like to subtly repurpose Ockham's razor, to turn it from an adjective to a verb, to give it some agency. It would be better to say that, in any pursuit, but especially the creative ones, the maxim of anyone who does anything should be to ask, is it as simple as it needs to be? Now, the world and the people in it and all of their limbic needs are unfathomably complex, and something being as simple as it needs to be can result in something labyrinthine. But the quest for simplicity should be ever present, like Brother Aubrey floating with his razor. Spicy from Heidelberg Games understands the virtue of simplicity, but also never forgets that games are meant to be played by people around a table, laughing at each other. In Spicy, players take on the role of mystical tigers playing a game to decide who is the boss cat. Alright, maybe the theme isn't very Ockhamy, but the rest is, I can assure you. On their turn, players lay a card face down declaring it as being from one of the 3 suits and having a numerical value. Play continues with players playing higher cards with 10s wrapping round to the beginning, unless someone challenges another player's lay. Then the played card is revealed. If there was no subterfuge, the player takes the pile of played cards that will later transubstantiate into points, and the accuser draws 2 cards. If the player was lying, the rewards and punishments are split the other way. If a player manages to play all of their cards, they pick up a trophy worth 10 points. When one player has won 2 of the 3 trophies, or all 3 have gone to different players, the game ends, and the person with the most points wins. I must confess that my heart sank a little when I started reading the rules of Spicy. I adore little card games, but have had little success with games like Kakalak Poker. But, in spite of my initial reservations, Spicy was tremendous fun. The doyen of British game design, an involuntarily tonsured sage, Tony Boydell, designates good games as a process of tension and release, and this is ever present in Spicy. Playing cards is a constant process of fighting back the urge to dissemble, and the more cards are played, the more likely it is that someone is lying, and the tension builds until someone can't take it anymore and throws an accusation, and the tension is released. Also a great element in the design is that punishments and rewards are equally balanced, so it never descends into an accuse fest, but neither is it stolid and uninteractive. Optional special powers come in the box that change the rules from game to game and adds variety, but the basic skeleton of the gameplay works wonderfully. There's no deduction in this game really. It's all about bluff and brio, and it lasts just long enough for that to keep its luster. There is no unnecessary crenellation and buttressing here to hamper what is vital to making this game a success, and that is speed of play and resolution. This is a game that utilises Occam's razor wonderfully. It's a game that knows what it is and acts accordingly. It's sharp, fast and funny. The exact opposite of Brother Aubrey. It's hardly the deepest card game in the world, but it promotes the kind of good-natured recrimination that all bluffing games should have. Spicy is just as simple as it needs to be. And we need more and more of this in every walk of life. Thank you for listening, and you can support this show by going to patreon.com/5G4D.